computers and laptops and stuff. We have a logic called citywide remote clean logic. We're kind of trying to avoid if Corona got us to shut down again, trying to not act like we did in 2020. We're doing the build, we didn't know what to do, and we asked God to help us, and so far God helped us. Now the state helped us, give us 5 brand new laptops, and we put more into to make it look like that, and we give all the department heads laptops to kind of make sure that if Corona hit us again, we will be all remotely connected. Council member will be able to take that laptop assigned to them home, and then we'll be kind of working all from home if it hit us again. If not, it will be here for you. I'll let Mike explain briefly what you can do with your laptop, especially for the new person.
Sure. I won't take long, but so far, and it's a work in progress, I have access to the website here, which gives you your agenda, minutes, everything else that you have on there, and a packet, so you don't have to bring it with you if you don't want. And I also have the code of ordinances on there as well, if you need to look up the city code or anything like that. There will be more stuff added as we go. It's just a work in progress right now.
And if you have any ideas, anything more you want to add, let us know.
Yeah,
And we're
please.
working on a policy and procedure
Okay, I was
for the
gonna,
citywide. Yes.
because you kind of indicated this was like for Corona, so it's gonna be more of a, if there's an emergency where we can have a meeting right here. Otherwise, these would stay here.
Yes.
They shouldn't be taken home. It
So
should
as the
all be
department
secure.
heads, yeah.
Right. Okay.
We're working now on a policy and procedure, and all that stuff will be presented to you very soon.
Hopefully February. we can-
Okay, great.
Did all the new council people get either a CD or book of
You all
ordinances?
got a flash drive.
Flash.
Yes. Let's go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask one more thing?
Yes.
Can we just make a reminder that all phones are shut off, notifications and things of that sort?
Call this meeting to order, Stuart City Council tentative agenda, Monday, January 10th, 2022, 6:30 PM, council chambers. Call to order. Morgan. Here. Kirkpatrick.
Here.
Dolly.
Here.
Renslow.
Here,
Alba.
Here.
Agenda approval, consent agenda approval of minutes of 12/13/2021, special meeting of 12/15/2021. Approval of financial statements as of 12/31/2021. Approval of bills as presented, approval of liquor license come and go. And I want to move number 11 up to the first one we're going to do tonight, because Jim might have to leave for a fire meeting. So I need a motion to approve the agenda.
so moved.
Moved by
I'll second.
Second by Kavah, moved by Morgan,
Yes.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
Renslow,
Yes,
Kavah.
Yes.
Okay, before we start the meeting, we've got 2022 council appointments. Financial, David Dolly, Streets, Corey Kirkpatrick, Parks, James Morgan, Cemetery, Michael Kavah, Sewer, Christina Renslow, Mayor Pro Tem, Corey Kirkpatrick. Okay, now we'll go to number 11, Cemetery Mowing, Council Member Renslow.
so Dick, I just, with the new year starting, I talked to Jim, and I would just like to make the simple motion. One, that we allow Public Works Director to send out specs for bids for mowing for the next 2 years. 2, that once the bids are received, that he just works with Ash, presents to council as when they're ready. And 3, to allow Beverly Wild to prepare a contract to be used, because previous to this, we didn't have an actual contract that the mower signed. And so we need to be able to get that drafted. And with it being January and the mowing season start in April, he has asked that we go ahead and start that. So that's my motion.
Was this presented to the cemetery committee at all?
Well, the cemetery committee is an advisory committee, as you pointed out 2 months ago.
Right.
And Jim is in charge of the cemetery
Um,
as Public Works Director. That's underneath his umbrella. And it's just a simple motion to get the mowing bids sent out or get the specs sent out and to get a contract drafted.
I think that's why we have a citizens advisory committee, is for them to do that. See, this is the thing that we discussed the last time, is the city council overstepping and putting their will when there's a committee designed to do that.
I'm not overstepping, I'm simply making the motion as I've discussed with Jim
How
and
come,
Ash.
how come you didn't discuss it with the committee?
It's an advisory committee.
They are in charge of the cemetery. If you look at their, and that
No,
was voted,
no.
wait, don't interrupt me. If you look at their charter, I suppose, if you can say that. Pull up here. They decide the bids on the mowing. They decide that. If they want to work with Jim, I don't have a problem with that, but it should go through them for them to work with Jim.
The
On
city
those
council
specs.
decides that.
What's that?
The city council decides that, as
The
we
specs?
discussed. The specs are already drawn up. The specs are the same as they've always been. They came straight from the rule book in the cemetery. There's, what do you call it, Jim? The cemetery rules is where you pull your specs from. So that doesn't change from year to year. It's the same thing. So once again, Mr. Mayor, I've made the motion.
Well, I would just hope that we would consider that. That's why we have this committee. Otherwise, you're pretty much taking away any advisory thing that they have out there.
I'm not taking anything away. I'm just giving Jim,
And it says the cemetery committee is the governing body within the Stuart City cemeteries. It's exactly what it says. This was voted
But
on
you-
by a previous council.
but you said 2 months ago that there was no such thing. All I'm doing is
What do you
asking,
mean, no such thing?
I'm asking for the council to approve Jim to put specs out that are already put together, to seek bids for the mowing, and to allow Beverly Wild to drop a contract.
Why can't the committee do that?
Because
I
it's
mean, we
Beverly
have-
Wild's job as an attorney to
I'm
drop a
not
contract.
talking about that. I'm talking about sending specs out. I mean, that's basically
Because
an
that's
ad in
Jim's
the
job.
paper.
It's
He's
always
Parks and Recs. He should be out doing his job, doing the streets and doing all that, not having to send stuff into the paper. That's what that committee's
It
for.
doesn't get
So
sent to the paper.
So is it, where is it, how does it get out then?
Is it in the paper? Okay, sorry.
Of course it's published. I've seen it in the paper. That's what we got a committee for, so he doesn't have to do stuff like that.
Mr. Mayor, I've made a motion.
I have one more question on that. Have we not had a contract before?
No.
No?
Not a written contract, but basically the acceptance of the bid was our agreement. And it was pointed out by our previous mowing contractors that was not a contract and he was not obligated to it.
Now, I agree with the contract. I mean, I don't know how we didn't do that. I don't want to speculate on previous councils. I do agree with that. But I think our cemetery committee is capable of sending those specs out. Let Jim do the job he was hired to do, the streets and stuff like that. He doesn't need to spend time sending stuff into the paper.
Jim, how many years have you been sending specs out for the cemetery?
Quite a while.
So it's basically, we're back to, this is the way we've always done it type thing.
Christine, would you be fine with, have that special meeting in a couple of weeks, just running it by them, that way they can report
Yeah,
back that
that's-
kind of-
If that's okay with Jim. I mean, I spoke with
Special
Jim because we
meeting,
need to get
just a
specs
couple
out, so.
Just, Mike, you got something?
Yeah. It was said that it was in the cemetery rules and regulations.
I said he
There-
pulled it from there.
It's not in there. I wrote the rules and regulations back in 2011, plus revised them in 2014. There were no specs in there regarding the cemetery. Period.
Then where did the specs come
As
from?
far as the mowing, there is not. There is no specs on how that can be written. That has been done every year. Now, Corey had received the contract last year, but there was no he received the bid, but there was no contract ever signed, is the problem.
Correct.
That's why we're
visiting
rebidding
it
this
now.
again. But we all said right here in this room, back in October, And we discussed that there needs to be a new mowing contract. So if we were discussing that in our cemetery committee meeting, why are we not all of a sudden discussing that before it comes and goes out into the papers?
That is in my motion to allow Beverly Wild to draft that contract up.
I understand that, but not everybody's okay with the way the contract states and the way the contract has been over the previous years. I'm one of them. I don't agree with the specs. I think it needs to be addressed.
Right, but if
We
she
never took a
drafts
vote.
a contract, that doesn't mean that it's enforceable right away. It's something that she drafts for us to review.
But it comes to the cemetery committee as what was voted on in the special meeting.
It's fine. We can wait 2 weeks if that's
And Beverly's gonna have guidance
right.
from the committee and Jim on what to put in the contract. She
That's why I
had no
said
idea what
according
put
to
in
the
it.
specs.
Okay, let's
But
just,
there's no-
Drafted
yeah,
in regards to the specs.
I mean, if you look it up on your computer, your handy dandy computer, there's no specs in that cemetery committee rules and regulations. It's just not. there.
There's one last thing. So I mean, if that's the case, really, it should come to the cemetery committee. And then we can go to a vote, as any board or committee should always do, is go to a vote.
Right,
And
but
then
we
we
don't
come
have,
to the
we
city
don't have
council.
boards, we just have committees.
I understand that, but they're
Very
the same thing, regardless of whether you're an emergency service committee or anything else. You still go to a vote, and I'm sure you guys do too, being on the auxiliary down there at the, well, you were at one point, but I'm sure there was votes taken, and that's the point of. a
That's right.
committee
We can wait for
or-
2 weeks, Mr. Mayor, if you put it on the agenda.
I suggest if you're gonna do this, do something with the spraying too, so we're not gonna address this issue. Either
I
combine it or two separate bids,
agree.
and give the input to Beverly, so we can come up with something in 2 weeks. Everybody agree?
So are we gonna have specs sitting right here in front of us?
In 2
Because I would like to
weeks,
see specs. We keep talking about specs, I wanna see what we're talking about.
Oh, exactly.
Okay,
I think what needs to happen is we get together in the cemetery board committee meeting, we come up with recommendations and we bring them to the council, which is the way it's supposed to work anyway.
That is
off of
exactly
what-
the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And this is a way to get the citizens of Stuart involved in the government of Stuart without having to serve on the council, although we'd like to have more people on the council, of course. But this is a perfect opportunity to keep taking that opportunity away from them. It's pretty much a slap in the face. It really is, you know. And if this had gone to them and they came up with it, okay, that's the way to do it. That's, so.
okay. Moving on to number 4, urban renewal plan amendment. At this time, open the public hearing. Did you receive anything, Ash?
No.
Any comments, concerns in public hearing?
No.
Close the public hearing. B, resolution number 2103C. Urban renewal plan amendment for the Stuart urban renewal area.
I make that motion.
Moved by Cobal,
I'll second it.
second by Kirkpatrick. How do you vote? Morgan? Yes. Kirkpatrick?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Renslow?
Yes,
Cobal?
Yes.
Okay, 5, city financial framework, Chip, and he's
Chip, go ahead.
Okay, good evening. I appreciate being able to join the council meeting by phone and look forward to meeting the new council members in person. What I think is intended to be shared as part of this agenda item is really just to really fundamentally provide background to the new council members on a financial framework that was adopted by the council last year. And really the purpose in the adoption of the financial framework was several-fold. It was to help target a city tax rate. It was to help target a city's liquidity level or a cash on hand amount. And it was to help really kind of provide a framework for how the city develops and approaches financial decisions. And the detail behind the financial framework is something that Ash has, if anybody wants to review it. But really, the background is the city's issued a lot of debt over the past 10, 12 years, has paid a lot of debt off. And the fundamental goal for looking forward is to try to position the city in a strong financial framework. So it's able to fund city operations, so it's able to continue to pay off debt, and able to have tax levies that's reasonable for citizens of Stuart. And I think with that, maybe Councilman Calla has some background he might want to provide for perhaps Ash does.
Sure, thanks, Chip.
I can answer any questions from there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Chip. Again, like Chip said, it's just kind of get the new members familiar with what we passed last year. Ash and Chip and myself and Brian worked on a proposal as like I said, it's a framework. It's not a set in stone type thing, but it gives us a guideline to look at when we're making decisions to obligate the city to money, so we can really know how we're impacting the citizens out there instead of just doing stuff willy-nilly. Again, it gives us a prudent reserve. I use different terminology than Chip. Prudent reserve so much in the general fund, operating expenses at the same level or possibly higher. We don't want to go below it, and then keeping the tax rate around 15 if we can. We understand that there may be emergencies come up. Nobody can plan for that right away. But if we follow that framework, I think we can best serve the citizens that are here instead of just always into their back pocket and asking for more money, which I think is important that we remember when we serve out here. So I don't know if you got anything else, Anish, or
I will be
questions?
sharing this information with the new council members when they get a chance. And I will be going over it step by step to make sure that by the time we go the budget work session that you're fully informed with what we have really established in the past. Thank you, Chip.
Okay.
Thank you, Chip.
Thanks, Chip. Feel better.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, 6, full-time public works street sewer employee. Jim, you gonna talk about this? It says you're gonna make a presentation.
That's news to me.
Here you are.
Just to tell the council what you're expecting and refer back to last meeting. Greenfield, they have 6 employees doing what you and Corey done. Guthrie has 3 or 4. Panora, they combine their utilities and city, and they have 6 employees.
Basically, in the past several years, we've had 2 full-time plus a permanent part-time employee that was working 32 hours a week. We lost that permanent part-time employee a year ago in September. So it's just been the 2 of us. And we ran several ads to fill that permanent part-time position and had no luck. Workload keeps increasing with housing developments and everything else that fall under our umbrella to take care of, along with an aging infrastructure system that, you can look at the comp time that's secured. There's just more work to do than 2 guys can physically get done. And it's time to fill that void. And like I say, the permanent part-time position just is not attractive enough to anybody that I think we need to move forward with a full-time position with benefits.
I couldn't agree more on that. I think maybe you did struggle with that because there wasn't benefits on there. Can't tell the future. I hope it helps, because
Time to tell.
I've definitely heard you and Corey talk about it, and nobody should have to do that, kind of in the same situation we were with the police, and we want to get out of that. We don't want to be burning people out, and putting people in a position to injure themselves and stuff like that. So I definitely think it's
Also, and part of the, I'll be downright honest with you, part of the position is not the most attractive either.
Sure.
When you get to working in the wastewater collection treatment system, that's not something that is everybody's cup of tea. So, it's just facts of life.
And all weather conditions.
Yeah.
Getting up at 2 in the morning.
Holidays,
Saturday,
weekends,
Sunday,
nights.
Whatever.
It is what it is.
So we'll go ahead and put ad in people. Happy could people talk. Well, I will put it everywhere on there on that and this stuff. We after I discuss the issues, Jim, you would like to start the wages by $15 an hour. That's the starting salary.
Starting point plus benefits.
Yeah, plus
is that kind of like a general, like
I
if you
think-
looked at other places,
Yeah.
that would be comparable. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
So
roughly.
we gotta hope, let's hope we have a good luck, because as you know, nationwide, there's struggle is finding maybe anybody to work.
And one of the qualifications is to try to get a sewer license too eventually.
Yeah, yep. Because my time, I'll be honest with you guys, my time's clicking.
Get insured.
Yep. And it is a grade three treatment plant. So that is something you cannot hire an affidavit operator for. You have to employ a licensed
Corey, at now,
operator.
are you still one or are
I'm
you
still
two?
on, working on the two.
On your two.
I'm getting ready to go test again.
Well, hopefully this will up the, or sweeten the.
Yeah, with the
pond a
benefits
bit, you
and,
know.
yeah.
Yes.
Is there any way you could ask surrounding towns or nearby towns what they, or would you know that? Or could look that up,
This,
what they pay?
Oh, their
Yeah.
wage rate. I'm sure that's something that's
Seems like the
available.
last few
Yeah.
years, it's just everything's gone up, you know.
It's public
You can
record,
go
so.
to McDonald's.
yeah, as long
Greenfield,
as long as it's comparable to other, because then you're gonna have,
Yeah.
well,
Yes,
you know, something like that. So if 15 is comparable, or, you know, if we need to look at something else, maybe, I don't know, you know, we can
After our
we can
discuss.
check.
I
Yeah, you
think we
guys-
decided to start with that and see what the outcome.
Okay.
Sometimes you'd be amazed, you get a lot of applicants and all this stuff. Sometimes maybe we need to look at it and see. Maybe
Yeah.
we need to-
Well, yeah, and
I can
this
make some
gets,
phone calls.
this gets starting point, and then maybe do, yeah, like you said, check and see,
Yep.
and, you know,
Well, having benefits
Yeah.
and not paying for them, and working in town, that's a huge thing right there for a lot of people.
right, exactly.
It's a-
Yeah, I agree, I agree.
It's
Okay.
insurance.
We need a motion.
Right.
I
So
agree with
moved.
that. Okay, I'll
Moved by
second that.
Stuart, seconded by Carl.
Okay, how do you vote? Morgan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yes,
Kaba?
Yes,
7.
Okay, 7 is an item that we have nothing to do with it, that's totally utility, but utility work under the umbrella of the city. So some of their stuff, like the grant and stuff, it has to be passed by the city. Ben is here to answer any question if you have, or you would like to make a presentation, Ben, or?
Wasn't really,
Okay.
prepared.
You
I
weren't
thought
expecting that
this
either,
was
huh?
just a procedure of
Yeah, it
putting
is.
things forward. but
It is,
yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm
glad
trying to
answer.
explain.
Yeah.
Well,
If
I
you're
don't-
not-
just
I don't
here-
have any questions.
you just,
If you're not here to make a presentation, that's fine. It's really just the council to approve these things handled by the utility, paid by the utility, and all that stuff. Just the city's name on it because we have no choice.
And they're going with a different lawyer.
Yes, yes,
well, so you need a motion.
yes.
For
Motion
item
for
A,
A,
B,
B,
and
C.
C.
I would make that motion.
Moved by Kaba. Second by Morgan. How do you vote? Morgan?
Yes.
Kirkpatrick?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yes,
Kaba?
Yes,
Okay.
8.
8 is the refinance of that current bond issue we have, and we've been working on it for the last couple of months. Just a refinance to save some money on the interest down the road. And this is the final phase of it. All we need is a motion to that too.
so moved.
Moved by Renzo. Second by Dolly. How do you vote? Morgan?
Yes.
Kirkpatrick?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yep.
Kaba?
yes,
Okay. Fiscal year ending city audit.
We get audited every year, and you would like to have the first audit that you weren't involved with it. But the result of the audit is we got unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion you can get. We have a good audit. And we get that every year. If you don't have a question, we need a motion to. Okay?
Moved by Morgan.
second,
Oh, Kaba? Okay. How do you vote? Morgan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Renzo?
Yes,
Kaba?
yes,
Okay, 10, Economic Development Director, Matt,
Man,
where is that?
he's back.
Hiding in the corner.
Okay. They approve signing the project assurance for form for the downtown housing grant for the school.
Just a simple form that will need to be filled out as part of the process.
Yeah, we'll apply for that grant, that catalyst grant. And we already participating by TIF,
Are we talking about A or B?
A,
Hey,
and we're participating by TIF. So,
And that's already been decided, right?
yeah,
That part, right? The TIF part.
Yeah.
Okay.
so
So it's just a formality.
just formality here, we have to approve all these assurance and all these format. You might get more for to approve. But everything's been approved, so, well, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, nothing on the form that raises any questions for you guys or you, Matt? Nothing?
No.
Okay,
Now,
So I would
let's
make
go-
that motion for
okay.
2A.
Okay, moved by
Moved by
John.
Caldwell. Second. Second by Morgan. How do you vote? Morgan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Renslow?
Yes.
Cobal?
Yes.
B?
Community catalyst.
So a little update on that. We got confirmation that the prior TIF can be applied to this catalyst grant. These grants require that the city have some participation, some kind of funding, or they nickname it as skin in the game. So Doe Deer had gotten TIF in 2021. That can be applied for this grant. So we do not have to put any additional funds into it to get the grant.
And that's good.
So you just need a motion to
Need a
go ahead
motion
and
to
move forward.
proceed.
I'll make a motion to proceed.
Moved by Renslow. Second by Morgan. How do you vote? Morgan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Dolly? Renslow?
Yes.
Cobal?
Yes.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Matt.
Thanks, man.
Okay, 11, done. 12, utility board appointment, only had one application, and this person has 16 years' experience with city government, and I would like to put Brian Belton on the utility board. The council approval.
You need a motion.
Moved by Cobal, second by Morgan. How do you vote? Morgan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Dolly?
Yes.
Renslow?
Yeah.
Cobal?
Yes.
And this position is to fill in for,
Corey Hanson.
well,
Did he fill out an application? Did you say yes? Okay.
For, he's filling in for who?
Corey
who's
Oh, Corey Hanson.
filling in?
Somebody
He's
else.
rolling out the
Yeah.
house. I don't know if he has yet or not. Okay, we want to go to public hearing.
Public forum.
Public forum.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Not here.
I just wanna miss coming there with the special meeting 2 weeks from today, January 24th will be at 6 o'clock.
Six. Okay,
Say that again, the 24th at 6.
it's 6.
Yes,
Cemetery.
Everybody make it that time?
Should.
yeah.
I just like to mention one thing, and I'd just like to say I'm appreciative of the, looks like we got a board committee commission application. I just like to say that is a really neat thing. I've never seen one in the 2 years prior. I know we can't do anything with it tonight because it's not on the agenda, but I think it's really important. Is that me many times?
You
Oh, I did, there you go. There you go. But I think it's nice that, citizens are wanting to get involved in doing something like this and serving the committee. So hopefully, if this needs to be brought up at the next meeting, put on the agenda, hopefully we can get that on there and address it.
Okay. Thank you.
I also wanted to start the conversation on, up at the soccer fields. I think there's been some needs for some lighting out there for a while, so I just want to know if you'd be interested in pursuing that.
Well, we got,
There.
how many lights from the city? Jim?
There's 4 there.
There's 4 from
It's
the
just a
city.
matter of time, James,
Okay, I didn't know that.
but they are there.
Yeah, and we said we'd work the utilities and try to pinpoint where we're gonna put.
Oh, hey, Jim, when you say they're there, they're like on the ground?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
All right, no, I just,
The materials are there.
okay,
We just have to figure out with the utilities location so that we're not running a half-mile wire.
Sure.
Where they've already got power established, that we can set them, get them,
Okay.
bases poured and that type of stuff.
okay, perfect.
And now, if you, James, I talked to Paige Williams, he's willing to sell the land north of the existing park. I haven't worked out a price for him, because we're pretty short on parking at the soccer complex. And maybe we'll work out details and take that whole area. He said he wants to sell the whole thing, not just a portion. Down the road and then we can come up with money.
You know, speaking of which, did that thing that they had the meeting up here, did that ever come of anything, Matt? Those people, I don't know where they were from. I was on the phone and listened to it, but
Yeah,
did it die down?
it's not gonna go anywhere
Okay,
at this point in time.
so it
Okay.
died.
Okay, we're gonna break the record. We're finishing the meeting.
I just want to update the council. I've been working on a property north of the elementary school, been working with the homeowner. I've been involved in a hearing, another hearing just come about Friday, and Christina looked and said they've got final notice, they're supposed to be moved out, and Brian Fitch owns the property. And I'm gonna give him, once the final notice is done, give him a week or so to clean it up, otherwise the city's going to get rid of the tires and junk and everything. And then Mike Johnson one time expressed interest in buying it, but
Are we still moving on condemning that property? I know that we said to continue to move with Beverly to keep it going,
yeah,
because we didn't have a yes or a no from Mike, but to keep it moving so we weren't dragging our feet.
yeah.
Do you know if
We
that
have to do
process kind of
something.
stayed?
I don't know, we'll have to see what we're gonna do. I mean, it'd be nice if Mike would go ahead and buy it, but even the lady that owns Shane's house, she said she possibly did.
I knew that, but I just didn't know if we were continuing with our process, so we're not
Well, I'm
delaying
gonna
things.
give Fitch a week, and otherwise I'll,
And then Beverly can take it from there.
well, I'm gonna clean it up first and then. I'll take
Okay.
it. Anybody else have anything? Record time, dear council.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you.